I am really glad and happy to be here today. It's a great pleasure to talk about Polish Falcons any chance I get. Just a real quick background about myself before I get into my presentation, and just a little bit of warning. I do have a couple of dogs running around here, and if they get a little excited, you might hear them in the background. But I'll do my best to so that you just hear me. Just quickly about me. Again, my name is Tim Kuzma. I am the president and CEO of Polish Falcons of America. I have been president since 2008, but I started my career there back in 1985. I served first as editor and then communications director. I did that for just over 11 years. I served a term as first vice president, and then 2 terms or 8 years as the secretary treasurer. And then in 2008, I became president. And if you quick math, that's just, well, it's approaching 36 years of work and service to the Polish Falcons of America. Within the fraternal industry, I am currently the chairman of the board of the American Fraternal Alliance, which is the trade association for all fraternal benefit societies in the United States. There are about 60 member societies of the American Fraternal Alliance. I've been a director since 2012, and I have been serving as chairman for the last 2 years, which is coming to an end here at the end of this year. It's really been an honor to do that as well. So let's get on with the presentation. I want to set a timer here for myself so that I don't exceed my time and so forth. So Polish Falcons of America, a fraternal benefit society currently, but we didn't start that way. Again, Polish Falcons has its roots in Poland. It's one of the unique fraternal Polish organizations that actually was created and established in Poland in the 1800s, give or take in the 1860s, and thrived and still exists in Poland as an organization, and it has continued to do that. So it's been a long-standing organization in Poland. So let me advance on my slides here. I can get to my presentation. Okay, so June 12, 1887, first meeting of a group in Chicago, Illinois, and they established the first nest of the Polish Falcons in the United States on June 12, 1887 in Chicago. Group of about 12 young Polish Americans. The leader of that group, who is here, the gentleman, Felix Petrovich, we believe this is his wife, but we've never been able to identify that. But he's credited with being the founder of that first Polish Falcons nest that was established in Chicago in 1887. The motto of the organization from its very beginnings, even in Poland, Zdrowym Ciele, Zdrowy Duch, which in English there's some, it's an odd phrasing, but basically a healthy spirit in a healthy body, sound mind in a sound body, if you want. But it's the idea that the goal is that people should be physically fit, and within a physically fit body, there resides a physically fit mind, a sound mind as well. So it's what we have always believed in and has been a part of the organization from the outset. So you can see here the purpose of this organization when it was created in Poland and when it was brought here to the United States has been about this physical fitness philosophy. And as you all, many of you know, Czech Sokol, Slovak Sokols, Sokols are throughout Eastern Europe, and ours is the Polish variant of the Sokol movement, and that's what it was founded on. Again, just a physical fitness organization. But what was unique and not unique for Polish, it was brought here to the United States. January 7, 1894. This is the date that a group of nests got together to create an alliance and created an organization, a network, have you, of other nests. I believe there are about 7 nests who got together and established that initial network. That was established again in 1894. So from 1887 to 1894, nests were being established, and then they created the Polish Falcons Alliance of America, and that was the first organization. Headquarters again was in Chicago. It moved to South Bend, Indiana in 1901, and then back to Chicago. But that move back to Chicago brought some controversy. So this period from 1905 to 1912 was a little, it was a very tumultuous time for the organization. At this point in 1905, the Falcons actually merged with the Polish National Alliance, but this merger was not well accepted by the entire organization, and it created a division within the Polish Falcons. Back up there. What actually happened around 1909, a new Falcon organization was created called the Free Falcons, which basically was a competitor. The Falcons that were merged with the PNA were existing within the Polish National Alliance as a division of the alliance, but this other group that put its headquarters in New York City called themselves the Free Falcons, and they existed separately. They host their own publications, et cetera. But that's how the organization split during that merger. But 1912 special convention, the Falcons were reunited, and it was decided to bring both groups back together. And that unification was done in Pittsburgh, and it was decided at that special convention that the headquarters would be located to Pittsburgh. And if you look at the map, and you do the math, Pittsburgh is almost exactly the same distance from New York and Chicago. It's about 500 miles exactly. So it was a great compromise. And the headquarters and the organization moved to Pittsburgh, and we've been there ever since. This is the official seal of the organization. It was created a couple years later. You'll see that it combines several elements. I'm not going to get into a great deal, and I'm going to start talking about this change in the organization that started happening at this time. This symbol combines the big mound in the back is the Kosciuszko Mound in Krakow, Poland. There are the ball and chain of trying to get free again. Keep in mind that from 1795, there was no Poland at this time. Poland did not exist as a nation state in Europe. It was divided amongst Russia, Prussia, and Austria. The final partition was in 1795, and Poland would not. And at this time, there was no freedom. So this symbol with the falcon holding that ball and chain and trying to break those chains is symbolic of that effort. The eagle's also holding a rifle as well. And that motto, Czołem ojczyzny spodem wrogowi, is basically hail to the fatherland, talons to the enemy. So the organization began its shift toward a militaristic organization that would actively engage in the liberation of Poland. And that's where we get to World War I. These are Falcon members. They put down their gymnastics and physical fitness equipment and exchanged it for weapons and arms. They were preparing for war. They viewed the war as an opportunity to fight for Poland's freedom. And that effort was led primarily through leadership of Polish Falcons. There were many others. I'm not saying that they were the only leaders. It was a nationwide effort, but the leadership of the Polish Falcons were key in this effort. We'll get more to that. These charts training exercises began as early as 1912, where members began gathering for the sole purpose of military training, how to handle weapons, how to march, how to do the things that a soldier would be required to do if he were to join an army. And they knew this was coming, and they started those early training as early as 1912. This picture is a great, I mentioned about the transition. In this picture, you might not be able to see it, but I'll describe it nonetheless. This is in Cambridge Springs, Pennsylvania, where Alliance College once was. They used this for training. In the foreground of this picture, you'll see standard gymnastics equipment, balls, the exercise bars, and I don't know exactly what they call those, pins and so forth. And in the back, you'll see a pommel horse. But also in the back, you'll note those are guns. Those are guns stacked. And this is a perfect transition of what Polish Falcons was going through at that point in time. They were transitioning from physical fitness and gymnastics and sports to military and training for war. And this picture is a perfect embodiment of that idea. It's one of those unique pictures. This is a group from Massachusetts. Those are real guns, and they are serious about what they are doing. This isn't just playtime on a weekend. These men knew that they were being prepared to fight in a major war with the goal of being to free Poland. The call to arms officially. And again, another special convention held in Pittsburgh, 1917, April. Ignacy Paderewski, Polish statesman and concert pianist, very noted, very famous individual internationally, came to Pittsburgh at a special convention of the Polish Falcons and issued a call to arms. He called for the establishment of a 100,000-man Polish army that would go to Europe and fight in World War I alongside the Allies, the ultimate goal to establish a free and independent Poland. Inspiring speech, and it led to the official beginning of a recruitment of Polish Americans. It's estimated that about 40,000 individuals were recruited. Many of those were members of the Polish Falcons, but Polish Americans from across the country joined. A training facility was built in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Canada. Eventually, the Polish Blue Army was established and fought in the war under General Joseph Haller. They couldn't do that training in the United States. You're not allowed to do those kinds of things to establish a separate army, but they were able to do it in Canada. They did the training. We actually have film of that training in Canada. It's an amazing footage. It's the only footage that's known to exist. But they were successful. November 11th, 1918, World War I ends. Germany is defeated. The Axis is defeated. November 11th, 1918 is considered Polish Independence Day because at this time the war was over, and that led to a free Poland. In President Wilson's 14 points for the end of World War I, item 13 was that an independent Polish state would be erected, which should include territories. I'm not going to read the whole thing for you, but it's basically point 13 or item 13 in the points called for the establishment of a free Poland. And that's what happened. The map on the slide shows the map of Poland that was established after World War I. That's why Polish people today still celebrate their Independence Day as November 11th, 1918, which brought an end to 123 years of the partitions and the elimination of Poland. So back to Polish Falcons after the war. What do we do? What happens? There was no more need for an army. So the organization went back to its roots of physical fitness, gymnastics, et cetera, et cetera. But the big problem, like it always is funds and money. So the organization decided in the mid-1920s to establish a new fraternal benefit society. On March 30th, 1928, Pennsylvania Insurance Department granted a charter to establish Polish Falcons of America, a new fraternal benefit society in Pennsylvania. So, and then as a result of that, we returned to our roots of physical fitness and gymnastics and so forth. So I'm just going to flip through some pictures of different eras of young people in different eras within the organization doing what they did. One thing to note about the history of Polish Falcons, and it's really interesting, is while many, probably most, if not all of the membership in the early era, 20s, 30s, even in the 40s and 50s, spoke Polish. Polish was the language of almost all the members. However, there was a division within the organization about which language and how do we do that. And this symbol that these girls are wearing, if you notice the patch right on their chest, right in the middle there, it's PFA, which stands for Polish Falcons of America. And that's how the organization recognized itself. Its official symbol there that they used in all of its gymnastics and programming and so forth used the English language. Not, if it was in Polish, it would have been SPWA, so Kołstwo Polskiego w Ameryce, and it would have been SPWA, but they used PFA and as a recognized symbol of Polish Falcons of America, even though my guess is that all these girls' first language and maybe only language was probably Polish. But the organization, and that changed the organization in many ways because by far of all the Polish organizations, especially Polish fraternal organizations in the United States, Polish Falcons is by far the most Americanized of those Polish organizations. And it's a more contemporary picture. And again, you still see that we are still using that, the PFA. And when our young people get together and we have these kinds of programs, we still use that logo and symbol for the organization when they get together. And this was up in Edinburgh about 6 years ago, Edinburgh University in Pittsburgh, which actually is only about 10 miles from Cambridge Springs, oddly enough. And again, another group picture of our young people at a youth camp that we do every year for our young members. And it's just a great activity. I'll talk a little bit more about our activities. But we don't only do programs and activities for our youth, we also, our adult members participate. And this is just a quick shot of a photo at one of our national golf tournaments. Can't say exactly where this one was at, but it's just another picture of what we do as an organization in terms of adult. We also do, and I'll get to the other programs in a minute. So currently, there are 59 nests in the organization. Some of those nests have as few as 25 or 30 members, and some of those nests have close to 1,000 members. It's quite varied. There are about 20,000 members in total currently in the organization. We divide those nests into 8 geographic districts, and like many Polish organizations, we are primarily rooted in the Northeast. The organization's business operations are licensed in 9 states, which are Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, and Wisconsin. But members live in every state. Our members have scattered to live in every state, and quite a few members actually live abroad as well. I think our furthest, we have members in Australia. And there are some that still live in, but that's how we are currently divided. As I mentioned, the different programs and activities, these are the main national activities. Our nests and districts have their own activities and programs. About half of those nests own their own buildings. Several of those nests have bowling alleys within those buildings. Almost all of the buildings have a bar and the halls where they have dinners and all kinds of activities and programs. But on a national level, we have a robust scholarship program. We give away about $60,000 in scholarship funds every year. We have a Future Leaders program for young people that I'll talk about in a little bit more. We have volleyball tournaments, a youth camp, as I showed you the picture, cultural opportunities in Poland. We have, and we work with the Polish American Congress Charitable Foundation to send young members to Poland every other year. And it's a fabulous program that the Charitable Foundation works with the Jagiellonian University in Krakow to establish a 2-week cultural program for young people. It's a great program, and we've always sent young members to that program. And of course, we have National Bowling Tournament, National Golf Tournament. Those are the big programs. And as I mentioned, Nesson districts have a complete variety of their own programs and activities within what they do in the organization. Just checking my time here. Doing ahead of schedule, but that's fine. Keep in mind too, if you want to ask questions, just chat them in, and Mark will be asking me those questions. I'll be happy to go through a lot of those questions for you when we get to that. So don't hesitate. So one of the things that Mark asked me to talk about, because we had discussed this previously, is and this jumps out of the history and gets into the current situation of the pandemic. And what has our organization done, and how have we responded to this crazy era that we've been living in almost a year now? It has been just really I could have never have imagined a scenario like this, and having to work through the challenges and so forth that this has created for our organization and everybody. This is one of those things that affects every person, every organization, every business. Doesn't matter what you do, how you do it. This has affected you. And figuring out how to respond has been an enormous challenge for us. And let me just describe a couple of the things that we did. So going in, when we realized in March of this year that this was going to be bad and it was getting worse, in mid-March, the Pennsylvania governor issued a lockdown that basically shut the state down, like you all know in your various states. Originally, that lockdown order did not classify an insurer, which Polish Falcons as a fraternal is, as an essential business. And we were scrambling for about a day and a half, thinking we can't do anything, because the governor says we're not allowed to do anything. But they came to their senses within a day and a half, and said, yes, you guys are essential. You can be open. You just have to do all the right things. So we were able to do that. But we had 4 basic primary principles moving forward that we needed to address in order for us to be successful through this, as successful as we possibly could. One, that first thing is that we had to keep the national headquarters business operations open to service our members. We had to do that. Members rely on us as a life insurer for any number of issues, primarily people who pass away. They have a life insurance policy. They need their money. So we had to stay in business, and we had to keep the service to those members intact and absolutely at top-notch levels to provide that kind of service for our members. That's number one. 2 was the health and safety of the national headquarters staff. We had to do that. We had to keep our operations open, but at the same time, do it in such a way that we did not expose any of the staff to this virus, or as limited as much as possible. That meant dividing the staff basically in 3 categories. We had one group that essentially works full-time in the office, and that's a relatively small group, about a third of there's about 13 of us altogether, full and part-time. A second group did part-time in the office and part-time at home. A third group, which included me, was entirely work from home. And I was just over a third of the staff. Since the pandemic, since mid-March, I've been in the office one day. That's for me nuts. Where you see me sitting now is where I have been working for the past, what is it now, 8 months, 6 months, 7 months. It's been one heck of a ride, let's put it that way. And we don't see an end anytime soon. But we adapted. We continue to provide service. We accept applications. We accept premiums. We provide all services to our members. We pay all of our claims. We've done everything possible to keep in business and keep that operation functioning at the highest possible levels. The next issue, the next principle was the health and safety of our members. We do, as you see, we do a lot of social activities. I've said this before to any number of presentations in our own organization. Polish Falcons of America, like any other fraternal organization and like other organizations, is a social networking organization. It is not a social distancing organization. We don't thrive when we're apart from one another, and it makes it very difficult to be successful when you're trying to do things like this. I didn't say impossible, it just makes it difficult. But in keeping with the issue of health and safety of our members, we had to do things to keep them distanced regardless. So all of our events this year, all of our in-person events for 2020 were canceled. That included our golf and bowling tournaments, volleyball, youth camp, future leaders, et cetera, et cetera. Everything was canceled. And that was disheartening. That was probably the most difficult thing that I've ever had to do. And, you know, we had to close the nests. The nests, well, they pretty much closed themselves, but never has the organization ever gone through anything like that, where the nests were closed, the districts were closed, and the national organization wasn't doing any fraternal functions. But that fourth principle, we had to figure out ways to keep members engaged, because we don't want them leaving. We don't want the new normal to be this new normal, this COVID normal, to become the new normal. We don't want people not to come back and socialize again. So we had to figure out ways and do different things to keep members engaged. And I'm going to go through some of those now. So this is a picture of our Future Leaders Conference that we do every year. And we bring these young people together to really prepare them to be leaders for next generation leaders of the organization. And it's a great 3 or 4 day weekend. We bring them in, they spend the time together, and it's a great program. So what are we going to do? So we decided, and this was the first thing that we did, that we were going to do a virtual Future Leaders Conference. So we held it at the end of June for over a 2 to 3 week period, mid-June, the end of June, 2 weeks, or I don't know. We had 8 different sessions, 90 minutes each, and we did them I think it was Monday or Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we did it, or something like that. But we did it 8 different sessions, and each of those sessions were 12 to 16 participants. Some of the kids, there was some that participated in every session that we had, some, you know, just because they couldn't do everything, but we kept it open. And it was an enormous success. They absolutely enjoyed it. We were able to do things in the virtual environment that kept their interest. At the very end, they each made their own little presentation about a leader that they admire. And I'll be honest, it was one of the most inspiring presentations of each of these kids. I was shocked. They did a tremendous job. And it was an enormous success. And we were really excited and really happy that we were able to pull this off virtually in this environment. We were really, you know, is this going to work? Are they going to come? Are they going to participate? You know, we weren't sure, but we said, you know, we got to do something. So we gave it a shot, and it worked fabulously. We were really happy with the result. So we said, okay, what can we do next? So we did this thing called the Fiver. And this is a virtual race for members. Members could choose on any day that they wanted to. So from the, we gave them like a 4-week time, 3 or 4 week time frame. Pick your day, and you could either do a 10K run, a 5K run, or a 1 mile walk. So because we know that, you know, a lot of our older members or other members, even younger members, couldn't do a 10K run or even a 5K run. They do a 1 mile walk. And all you do is sign up. We had a $5 entry fee, I think. We had over 70 participants sign up. They all participated. They submitted their results. We posted the results, and everybody got a keepsake medal, a little like an Olympic type medal. We didn't give out any first, second place, third place, anything like that. It was just, here's an award for participation, and thank you for participating. The response was great. People loved it. There were some nests and districts that actually got together, like this group, and did it as a group. So you had a bunch of people get together and do their whatever they did, whether it was the walk or the run. And then others, like me and my wife, we just went out and did our walk. So we had a great time, and it was just another very successful event. This gentleman here is the only guy who did the 10K run. This is Andy McClinsky from New Britain, Connecticut. He's a runner. He's a great guy. He's a great Falcon all his life. And you see, you know, hey, he's got his Falcon patch on too. Just, you know, and he participated. It was a great event. We were really happy about it. So, okay, we did a run. We did the Future Leaders golf. We were scheduled to do our regular golf tournament in Erie, Pennsylvania this year. We had to cancel that. It was, again, disappointing. But we said, hey, let's do a virtual golf. From mid-August to the end of September, go out and golf 2 rounds. Do it by yourself, do it with a friend, do it with a foursome. But for this one, we actually gave away prizes. The top prizes for this were free entry into next year's in-person golf tournament. So that's worth $150. So we had about 30 participants come and play. But we also had some fun prizes like Best Picture, because we asked everybody who participated, like these gentlemen, to send us a picture. And so we had prizes, and we gave gift cards for the Best Picture, for the Best Dressed. It was a lot of fun. And at the end of it, we had a virtual Zoom party where the participants came, and that's where we made our presentations, announced the winners, and we invited them to bring their favorite beer or wine, and they could join in, and we had a little toast and a little drink celebrating our virtual golf tournament. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time. The last thing, and we haven't done it yet because it's a month away, is the big event that we had this year, that we had scheduled this year, was our national convention. We were scheduled for our national convention in July this year in New Britain, Connecticut. We usually get about 200 delegates for that convention. We were planning it, but like everything else, it was canceled. We appealed to the Pennsylvania Insurance Department to see if we could do that convention next year. And they said, no, you know, state law requires you to do it every 4 years. You have to do it this year. Okay. So we put it together. We're going to use Zoom webinar platform for the meeting, and we're going to use a platform called Election Buddy for voting. It's quite the technological endeavor. We've been planning and working on it for several months now. We're having a big test of it on Wednesday upcoming, and we'll probably do another big test right before the convention. But we're really looking forward to pulling this off. And right now we have 228 delegates registered for this meeting. So that's going to be quite the meeting come November 21st. Myself, on one hand, I'm anxious to do it, to see how it works and make sure it's successful. But trust me when I tell you, I can't wait till November 22nd. When it's behind me, that'll be fabulous.